players. And I know we have Ari Temkin of Big 12 Radio on TuneIn Radio coming up here in a minute, but I want to talk about the players. And quarterback, I don't know, TBD. So I made a little list of what I want the Badgers to add. And it's really about positions, Ryan, but I will throw some names. I pulled them off ESPN's top 50. I don't know if they have any ties to the Badgers or not. I just pulled some names that I found interesting off the ESPN top 50. And I'm going to run quickly through positional groups that I think the Badgers need to add on. Getting back Trech Kekahuna is important, though. That, to me, forget even the player, which is important. He came back after Grimes arrived, and there's no world that Jeff Grimes did not have a conversation with Trech, and that Trech had that conversation and said, I want to come back. Clearly, there's money involved, I'm sure. But these kids aren't all about the money. They want to – you have to assume most of these kids want to go play pro. So they want the opportunity to showcase their skills and be great and then get paid. So I'm going to go through the positions of need I thought for the Badgers because I know we got Ari coming up here in a minute. So I went with a little different here. I'm going to start a quarterback, Ryan, and the name I wrote down because I'm trying to think about gettable. And I don't know how – attractive this quarterback position is at Wisconsin. I don't know what Wisconsin can pay for. I'm going back to the well. The guy who replaced Tanner Mordecai at SMU, Preston Stone. He's a redshirt junior because here's the other part of it. You have Mabry Matoyer. You had Carter Smith, who decommitted from Michigan because he didn't want to compete in the same class with one of the top quarterbacks in the country, and I don't blame him for that. So I think you could end up running the risk of alienating some of your younger quarterbacks. There were some other QBs on this list that had more time available on their football clock. I didn't want to bring in someone that could alienate those guys. Preston Stone, 3,197 yards passing, 32 total touchdowns in 2023. They won 11 games. He broke his leg at the end of that season for SMU. Came back this year, tried to play. He got benched. SMU had a heck of a season, having a heck of a season, but he's on that roster. He's in the portal. I think he's a player. You win 11 games in the season, I'm in on you, okay? That's my quarterback. You hate it? Love it? You fine with it?
I'm good with it.
All right.
I think it's exactly what they need, like you said, bridge quarterback.
And so I'm going to go, because the other one is from two players from the same team. So other one was running back. I'm going to go with Ahmad Hardy, a running back from UL Monroe. He's a freshman. He was Sun Belt Freshman of the Year. But that way you have Dupree, you have Dylan Jones, you have Acker around, but then you have a guy in Hardy who can be in this group and be a proven running back. I don't know if we need to Tui Walker, there's a million different running backs on this list. I decided to go with, how about we look from a level up? Mark Tosher talked about that with us, Ryan, trying to find a player looking to level up. You level up to the Big Ten. Maybe he's not super expensive, but he was 14 on ESPN's top 50.
True. I do think he will be an expensive one. I think I saw he had visits with Texas and Alabama.
Okay, so I got good taste.
Yes, you do.
I got good taste.
Five-star taste.
Dylan Thieneman, a safety from Purdue.
Yes.
Badgers need a safety.
They sure do.
Yes, they desperately need a safety. Purdue's leading tackler last year. And then I went with another player from Purdue, Will Helt, defensive end from Purdue. The thought on him was he's more of a polished, finished product, but the finished product's pretty good. And the Badgers need some, for lack of a better word, professionals. Like someone just come in and go, I know how to play football. I know how to be a Simon Strong, and I know how to help this team win, and I've competed in the Big Ten. So those are the guys that I have. What you feel good at that?
I feel very good about that. I think you make a great point, especially about health. They need guys who can come in and contribute immediately.
Yes.
Now, those guys are expensive, and they're hard to find. They might have to get them from the MAC more than some of the bottom-tier Big Ten schools.
Yeah.
But that philosophy is exactly what they need. And the positions you mentioned, probably the ones they need the most, too.
Yeah.
A cornerback or two would be nice.
Yeah. I leaned on the Big Ten because I thought maybe they'd want to stay in the Big Ten, some of those kids.
Fingers
You're
crossed.
At Purdue, and you got your butt kicked by Wisconsin. One of the few teams Wisconsin could handily beat.
Hey.
So now you can go join,
baby.
You can go join the winners there. Ari, great insight. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for asking, buddy. Take care. Be well.
All right. Yeah, you too. That's Ari Temkin of Big 12 Radio on TuneIn Radio. Also a Good Karma Brands teammate. You missed any of that, you can listen back. Wisconsin on Demand, Apple, Spotify, any of those great places. We're also, obviously, this show will be posted up on YouTube. Ryan, I know normally I kind of get out quickly there, but more excited, less excited? Do you like my Phil Longo, Jeff Grimes comp? Because I do think that was a question that needed to be asked about why is Grimes not staying at Kansas?
It's a great question.
I love the answer.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it just doesn't work out. And look, I'm a little more pessimistic about the air raid offense, and I think Ari pointed out some of the main reasons for it, why I didn't think maybe from the start it wasn't a great idea.
Yep.
And I just think the idea that what Grimes does just has alignment with what the Badgers should be and what Luke Fickell wants, that just makes me feel so much better that it's at least going to be stable. So, and everything Ari said made me feel like this is going to be an offense that's very functional at Wisconsin and could really, could be what they were and even better in the past. Now, at this point, I'm gonna have my reserves up,
yes,
and I'm gonna have my walls up. I'm not gonna let myself get hurt again as a fan, but I definitely feel better after hearing more of what Ari said. It's really interesting to see what this offense can do.
My not concern is that there was a couple things with the air raid at Wisconsin. I'm not one of those who said fundamentally it couldn't work here, but Phil Longo, when he got here, didn't seem willing to. What I thought he was going to do based off his reputation was modify the air raid. We used the term the dairy. What was it? The dairy raid.
Dairy raid is what it was affectionately called,
yes.
And that's the monster that they made.
Yeah, but I thought that would actually mean something, where you're trying to blend how Wisconsin's bread is buttered in recruiting with the air raid, and because good offenses have touches of everything, and that's what I thought was going to happen. That didn't happen here. So not only the air raid, schematically they had to recruit for it and didn't recruit right for it. They didn't take advantage of the players they had for it. But then also the play calling seemed disjointed, and the quarterback was the other part of it. So there was multiple things that were wrong. I feel like, I guess I'll ask this to you as well. I am optimistic that the O-line has been recruited enough, and Joe Thomas even said that this O-line can, even in the air raid, can still develop pros. And I think these players, especially with the offseason conditioning ready to go, can get back and have a lot of them are still recruited in the mindset of let's go knock someone over. And I think that's the natural inclination of offensive linemen, even if it is a glancing blow instead of the head-on blow. That's not concerning to me. If you're going forward, I think that's the step that you want out of this, and that's what I took away from Ari in this conversation. The offensive linemen in this offense are going to come forward, hit at an angle as opposed to the old school line them straight up. But hitting at an angle is a very common NFL theme. That gets you that ability to give the running back find the hole.
Forward momentum is forward momentum.
Yes, exactly. So they're going forward. So I like that. I think the offensive line will be good with that. Running backs are running backs.
Mm-hmm.
Dupree and Jones, I don't mean I think they're very talented. And I think if you add another back to this mix, you're going to have some guys who will be able to run no matter what.
And it's more about making sure they know how to be the patient runners who've set up well with that zone, like you're saying.
The wide receivers, again, not they're wide receivers are wide receivers, but Pauling, Vinny Anthony, and Trech are, to me, three very good wide receivers.
Good pass catchers. I think in this offense, it'll be a little more dependent on finding guys who can also block out on the edge. I mean, like you said, they're going side to side. Those wide receivers are going to have a big role in making sure that they get blocked on that second level.
Absolutely.
And that's where the tight ends will come in big, too.
Yes. So I do think they have fine tight ends, and so maybe it's this cycle in the portal. Or maybe you try to find but I would love for them to be able to use the tight ends more.
Yeah, I'm one of their major actual recruiting targets right now in the transfer portal. His name is Tanner Koizal. He is one of the top tight ends in the country last year, had 94 catches, 839 yards, 8 touchdowns, 1 year of eligibility, and he's set to visit the Badgers tomorrow. So that's from Pete Thamel, reported that yesterday.
Well, someone send that clip about the tight ends being important in this offense.
Send that to his. I'll DM him.
Yeah.
I'll make sure he hears it.
So it took me a minute. I was trying to remember some of the names here. Jake Ferguson is a more recent one. Travis Beckham is another one. Troy Fumagalli.
Yeah.
Garrett Graham was a name I was trying to come up. Owen Daniels is another one. Lance Kendricks, Jacob Pedersen. They were some very good tight ends here.
And one of the things about Grimes, I believe at Kansas and at Baylor, he was listed as the tight ends coach too. So he's not a quarterback coach. He's not a quarterback whisperer the way that Longo is or has been in the past. But tight end could be the position he really emphasizes in this offense. And that's the position. I mean, that kind of makes me think like 49ers type stuff, like old West Coast, getting those guys out in space and running people over.
It's a modified Paul Christ.
Yeah.
Because it's tight ends, O-line, and running backs for the most important positions on it. Still need that quarterback.
Yeah, always. No matter the offense.
Yes, but you still need that quarterback. But my point is, I don't think they have to do a lot in the portal as far as recruiting players that fit this offense. I think they have enough players that fit this offense. I think you could use another running back, a tight end, and a quarterback.
Yeah.
The O-line, you got the bodies, literally in the amount of bodies and the style that you need. So I don't think the portal for the O-line is necessary. I don't think the portal is necessary for wide receiver, especially if you're not going to see a lot of 4 wide receiver sets. I understand the body type, but maybe you could fix that in actual, high school recruiting too.
True. Yeah, that's what you hope for. Yes.
And then you have the tight end. Yeah, maybe you get someone that can come in and play in this offense immediately. But quarterback, number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then you could use one more running back and a tight end. So not a ton on the offense.
I think in the transfer portal this offseason, similar to last year, it's going to be more about replenishing the defense for this team. I think the offense could get there quickly if everything hits the ground running with Grimes.
And that's what I was
knock
getting at.
on wood.
Yes.
But I think defense, no matter what, they need to replenish a lot of reserves.
Yes, and that's what I was getting for this offense. Why I'm optimistic is that these players on the roster, I think, fit close enough that you don't have to do some overhaul of the players that you have. The players that you have can fit. Maybe not every single one of them fits perfectly, but the large majority of them do. And a good offensive coordinator will figure out how to use Pauling and Kekahuna, because those are the two that, I don't know if they work. Vinny's a bigger guy, at least compared to those two.
6'1", yeah.
And so that's a good size for a wide receiver. And so he's someone I think can handle the blocking. And sometimes it's just about being a willing blocker.
Yeah.
I mean, Trech is a smaller guy, but if you're just willing to get out there and get in the way, that can help.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of 2 tight end sets.
Yes.
Especially because they have guys who are young, up and coming, didn't see the field a ton in the Dairy Raid, and were probably too inexperienced to see the field at all. This could be their year.
Absolutely. And Trech seems strong, too, so I think he can block. All right, so there's some reason to be optimistic. Again, the Badgers next year, my early bar setting is bowl eligibility and an offense. Here, I'm going to give you a number for it, an offense that gets 200 yards per game on the ground. Those are my 2 expectations after talking with Ari Temkin for next year. 6 wins and an offense that gets you 200 yards per game on the ground.